is another guy I want to talk about. We've been getting a lot of questions about him. He's not quite as deep as the Steven Sims, the Paris Campbells of the world, but Emmanuel Sanders is not really being talked about a lot, and I feel like he's a very polarizing player this season. Some people are like, no, he's not going to do anything. He's kind of done. He's not going to get volume in New Orleans. And some people are saying, hey, Emmanuel Sanders is really good. Why is no one talking about him at all? So, Steph, for you, is Emmanuel Sanders someone you are targeting in drafts or even willing to draft in 2020?
Probably not. Honestly, right now the ADP is the wide receiver 44. To me,
So he's cheap.
Sanders is the classic like waiver or streaming wide receiver. Just the nature of the way he plays and how he's utilized in offenses thus far in his career, he will be a boom bust guy you can probably plug in on pass heavy game scripts, but I mean, that role didn't have a ton of value last year. Ted Ginn averaged 3.7 targets per game, finished outside the top 90 fantasy wide receivers. I think Sanders will be an upgrade there, and that's why the Saints went and brought him in. But Sanders only hit double-digit fantasy points on the week 3 out of 10 times with the 49ers. He's going to be like a poor man's Marvin Jones, who we already talked about, or like a Hollywood Brown. He'll be like a Demaryius Thomas last year, just a veteran waiver name. You can plug him in the right matchup. I wouldn't say draft him just because there's so many other
He's so boring.
There's so
He's
many
not
other
gonna do it
upside
for
league
you.
winners there at wide receiver and all the other positions at that point in your draft. So he's not really a guy I'm going to have any shares of really in 2020.
I'm going to name some other guys around his ADP, and with Sanders, it's kind of like you're either draft. He does have that floor, but he also will probably pop 1 or 2 games in the season. But one, predicting those couple games that he pops are going to be tough.
Yeah.
And two, the floor, to me, isn't even as high as the floor of some of these other safe wide receivers like Jamison Crowder, Golden Tate. And he's going in the same range as Jamison Crowder, Golden Tate, Darius Slayton, Jalen Reagor. Are you taking Sanders over any of those guys?
No, I like the upside on all those.
Same.
If I want a floor play, then I'm going Crowder or Tate. So, yeah, no, that's a perfect point.
Exactly. The floor play with Crowder and Tate is better. The upside play of Slayton, Reagor, even CeeDee Lamb, who we talked about a little bit earlier. It's like, are you really going to draft Emmanuel Sanders over CeeDee Lamb? Come on, like Sanders, what's the upside? To me, it's like, what is the upside? He's competing with Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, and Jared Cook for targets. The upside just is not there. He played 17 games last season. Fun fact on Emmanuel Sanders. He only exceeded 7 fantasy points in 9 out of 17 games. So 8 times you rolled out Emmanuel Sanders, and he got you less than 7 points. He lost you your week. So to me, it's just not worth it. It's not worth the risk. I don't think the floor is actually even there. And now he comes into a new team. He's a year older. I'm out on Sanders. I mean, he's still at the age where he can get it done, but just in the current situation, they threw 279 passes to the wide receiver position last season, and they were lacking. Like, Sanders is a better wide receiver too than Ted Ginn or Traquan Smith, but Michael Thomas is a lock for 160 targets if he's healthy. So if you break down the 120 targets left for the receiver position, how many of those are going to go to Sanders?
Yeah, and there's this the narratives they are narratives that I think are overblown, but it's worth mentioning with Drew Brees as the season goes on, his average depth of target heavily decreases. That's just what we're seeing from a guy towards the last couple of years of his career as well. So there's concerns there from a deep threat role standpoint in New Orleans.